from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine.
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
So the other day, I'm hanging out in the Discord. Somebody sends the notice that says, hey, collectors out there and parents, they got Star Wars Happy Meal toys back at Mickey D's. I said, kids, get in the minivan. We got some collecting to do. We piled in. It's actually kind of a controversy. Did you guys hear about this with the McDonald's toys?
What happened?
Well, it's like a sexist conspiracy.
Uh-oh.
You know me. My wife's the president of the Leominster Feminist Moms, so I'm always hearing about patriarchal conspiracies. This is a good one. In fact, as I found myself lecturing the drive-thru attendant at McDonald's at 7 a.m. on this particular Monday, and God bless her soul for not throwing a milkshake in my face as I lectured her, they are offering the Star Wars toys as quote-unquote boys' toys. And they are offering Disney princess toys as girls' toys. All right. Yeah, all right, okay. So what's the problem with this? Tonight, we got two guys on the show. We got two girls. Let's hear from one of our ladies. Emma, our guest on the show, as a Star Wars collector and a female. How you feel about this?
It hurts my soul. It hurts my soul. I mean, it's the same thing as when they put like Star Wars t-shirts in the boys section at like a Target or something. It's the exact same thing. I don't even know why this is still a thing, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. You would think in 2021 we wouldn't have boys' toys and girls' toys, but here we are.
I know. All right. So, the deal is, like, here I am lecturing this lady, this poor woman, and she's actually like, yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan. And
I'm a
like,
Star
that's
Wars
great.
fan.
Yeah, we're in Massachusetts.
Star Wars.
She's like totally on board with my rant. And she's like, you want the pink princess or the green princess? Because, as much as my kids like, hey, they're on board with Star Wars and all that. I think currently sitting in Luke Skywalker's land speeder, we got a couple of clone troopers right now. They've been like, hey, I let the kids play with the Star Wars stuff. Most of it, not all. I got some top shelf collectibles over here. Nothing quite like Freddy's sideshow Obi-Wan. He's on display in the background. That's excellent. And my kids, I offer them. I'm like, do you guys want the Star Wars toys or the princesses? Unanimous. They're both just like, princesses. And so here I am, like, Star Wars is for boys or girls. And like, hey, little boys, like, they can like Disney princess movies. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And yet my kids, they play right into the stereotype. So what I did, and shout out to our buddy Nathan the lumberjack of YouTube, he gave me in the Discord a suggestion, which is you can just tell him, like, hey, I just want to buy the Happy Meal toys. I don't need any of that junk food. Just straight up give me all your toys. And I did. We got a good little collection of princesses, and I've got both Chewie's head on top of the Millennium Falcon.
Hey,
And
Chewbacca, you still hanging out with this loser?
and Darth Vader in the TIE Advance. Now, Freddie, out of all the McDonald's toys that you've ever seen in your life, obviously with a physique like that, you're not eating a ton of McDonald's, my friend. But how insane does it make you that there's a big head on top of these beautiful spaceships? The ships themselves look good. Does it bother you as much as it bothers me? This drives me nuts.
It really honestly does bother me. So here's the thing. I love my Star Wars collectibles. I'm a huge collector. But I saw these and I immediately was like, not my thing. Not going to collect them. Just how they looked. I wish obviously they've got to play with the I guess, what do you call it? The choking hazard thing, I guess. But it'd be nice to have like a smaller character that just goes inside of it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Here's my question. I think I would like it if it was just the ship. What if I rip Chewie's head off? Is that like Star Wars sacrilege? What if I enlist the moon to rip the head off for me? I have spent a lot of time considering whether or not I'm going to pop these suckers' heads off. Should we do it right here live on the show?
No.
Do we decapitate Chewie live on Legends?
I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what's under there, so yeah.
I can't do it. My hands are... I just put lotion on them. No!
Slimy.
Well, Chewbacca, you live to fight another day, my friend.
Oh,
We have some fun little banter before the show here, though. This is a big F. F's in the chat for my grip strength, which could not manage to sever Chewbacca's head. We'll get Patton Oswalt on the guest to help us out with that. Freddie, do you have a favorite Happy Meal toy of all time? You got a favorite retro? There's some good ones back in the day, and by good I mean weird in the Legends Look Back kind of way.
Yeah. So there's 3 that I can think of that I always am really nostalgic about when I think about Happy Meal toys. One of them is the they were the food boxes that had like the smiley faces on them.
Oh yeah, they were like Transformers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
creepy aliens and food.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was the nuggets that you could like have. It was like a nugget, and then you'd put like a cop hat on it or something, and they all had
Cop nuggets. A Star Wars story. Oh yes.
My favorite action hero.
Yeah, cop nugget.
How about you, Emma? You're like 10 years younger than us, but like you got a favorite retro Happy Meal toy?
So I don't know. This is definitely not retro, but like I was 7 when it came out, so like I don't know. 2008 Clone Wars, Happy Meal toys, so cool. There's like an Ahsoka one, and it's like what you have right now, Jared. Her head's on top of the Twilight.
Yeah.
And there's like C-3PO on top of the land speeder. I don't know. They look cool.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of Clone Wars ones, some original trilogy ones. They look pretty neat.
That's great. Yeah, I've got the Anakin on top of the Jedi Starfighter, and boy, have I thought about ripping his head off a lot. I'll post pictures in the Discord if I end up doing it. Obviously, today was a fail. Chewie's head is on. Let's try Vader. How about you, Meg? You want to take a stab at this one? You a Mickey D's fan?
I mean, not anymore or for a while, but like, I mean, our parents used to take us all the time for some reason. Beanie Babies were definitely my thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I have still hundreds of Beanie Babies. 90s kid, that was my thing apparently. So like anytime I could get even like the mini ones that they had, that was my thing. Yeah.
We would always call my grandparents because they lived in a small town called El Paso, Arkansas. It's called El Paso because it is just a 4-way stop. That is the town. And there's a gas station that has a McDonald's in it. And we'd call them up. We'd be like, hey, we're on a Happy Meal hunt. We're trying to collect them all. We got to get all the things. I've been a collector for a long time, in case you can't tell. And so my grandma, every time I go visit, she's like, I can't tell you how many Happy Meals I had to eat to get your Beanie Babies. You better appreciate me. I'm sorry, Grandma, for that impression. I hope you don't listen to the show. So,
oh my God.
Before I get disowned and removed from the inheritance, let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, a show brought to you by Utini, a Star Wars books podcast for people who think POG is referring to those small circular collectibles, where we talk about all things Star Wars Legends, celebrating our rich EU history, as well as diving into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, and today I'm joined by the exclusive artist variant alternate cover of the podcast network, Freddie C. How are you, my man?
Doing all right, man. I've got my Obi-Wan on display for Charles to eventually steal. So there's that.
Yeah, he did say he posted a great meme of what it would look like to be busting into your house and stealing it. Somehow he found a meme of a guy like wearing a Jedi robe stealing something from somebody's bathroom. It was like the best meme I've seen in a while. It was excellent. Excellent. Also joining us this week, making her Legends Look Back debut for the first time on the show, and yet you've come to know her and love her from such Utini YouTube hits as, well, there's a bunch of them. She's done a lot of videos. So we got the history of the Mandalorians. That's a good one that I especially like. It's got some good legend stuff in there. We would call her the galaxy's greatest Star Wars YouTuber who rides a moose to college, and that is our friend Emma Park. How are you, Emma?
Oh, I'm doing great, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. My pet moose, I need to take a vote on what we should name him. I love the idea of riding a moose into college. That is like something that I think most Mainers do. It's pretty normal, right?
I mean, like in Canada, the police ride horses, Mounties. I mean, in Maine, don't they all ride moose?
Of course, I see it every day. Of course.
we go to Maine every summer, and I have yet to see an actual real life moose.
Me neither. I've lived here all my life. I've never seen a moose.
Have you not? Oh, wow. That's crazy. Wow. If I ever am in Maine and I see one, I'll text you, and you just, it's a small state. Yeah.
Good. I'll live vicariously. Yeah.
Well, we are glad to have you on the show. This is a lot of fun. Of course, in recent weeks, you have helped pilot the newest Star Wars podcast in the Utiniverse, the Cosmic Force. Tell us a little bit about the show.
Yeah, so the Cosmic Force is centered all on comics, and not just canon comics either. We throw a little bit of Legends in there too.
That's right.
We did our first roundtable yesterday, if you're watching this live, on the first volume of Dr. Aphra from 2016. We also did our episode 2 on our Comics Foundational 5 with the one and only Jared Mays. And our first episode was all about Comics 101. So we're trying to cater to people that aren't necessarily into comics yet or have really wanted to get into them but need a little push to do so. And we're going to be covering some new stuff too on a little bit of a delay so that we can all read together. And it's been a lot of fun so far. And I really hope that if you're watching this or listening to this and you haven't checked it out yet, please do check it out. We have a lot of fun, and we hope that you learned something along the way too.
Wow, that was a great description. I got to come up with like a good little elevator pitch like that for Legends Look Back. People ask me like, Jared, you got a Star Wars podcast? I'm like, yeah, but don't get too excited. It's only about the outdated and irrelevant stuff you've never heard of. So I got to come up with a better pitch.
It's not exactly confidence-inducing. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're like, yeah, I talk about Star Wars books, and everyone's like, I don't know. And it's like, look, they're really good.
Last night I teach a Wednesday night Bible class at church. Little lady Nancy asked me, Jared, I saw on Facebook you said you've got a podcast. I'm going to have my nephew come over and help me watch it. She's going to help me find it. And I was like, well, I don't know if it's for you. And I'm thinking specifically about the fact that our most recent episode was that Dark Empire 2 roundtable, in which like we talked a lot about a certain naked emperor. I mean, like not a little bit, but like quite a bit. And it's like, why don't you just wait a week? Wait a week. Yeah. And she was like, wait, is this a Star Wars thing? And I said, yeah. She said, Dominic, cancel that order. I don't want any help watching it. I was like, dodge a bullet on that one. Dodge the bullet.
Wow.
Well, I got to say, I would like to consider myself, at least at this point, like maybe somebody else will come along. I'd like to consider myself the Cosmic Force's #1 fan.
We consider you that too.
Thank you. Yeah, I immediately made a run to multiple comic book stores after the first couple of episodes. So much so that I am on a comics buying hiatus for a little while. I've overspent. We're going to talk about some of that overspending in our next segment, which is Thracken's Thrift Store. Oh, wait, Emma, introduce Meg. Meg, you can, of course, you can lead off Thracken's Thrift Store, your favorite newly named segment. You can show us if you've got anything new. This is, of course, our producer. We would consider her the galaxy's leading expert on loath wolves. Joining us once again this week, Meg. How are you, Meg?
I am so good. I am caffeinated. It has been a week, but we're here. And we have things to show off. If I can not knock over everything that I have on this desk while I do it.
We're going to have like some kind of a drinking game. Take a shot every time Jared forgets to introduce Meg.
You know what?
Sorry, Meg.
You're fine. I forgive you now and every single time in the future that it happens. Just like all.
It will never happen again. Probably.
I'm not so sure about that. All right, so I have something very special to show off to all of you, and that is that I finally, after months and months of waiting and wondering when it was going to be here, I have for you. Well, not for you, it's for me.
Oh, it's
Bo-Katan.
Oh, it's for me?
It's Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. Oh, wait. Not just one Bo-Katan. Two Bo-Katans.
Two Bo-Katans.
I want to see.
Now there are two of them.
Meg, tell the people why you have two Bo-Katans, please.
This is Emma's fault.
It is my fault.
She informed me that more were still available, and for some reason in my brain it just seemed like a good idea to get another one. So I did, and then proceeded to forget that I'd gotten a second one, and then I got one day, and then another one showed up the next day, and I was like, you know what? This is fine.
That has become a common story for me as a Star Wars collector. I've got to admit, it really has. Oh, that's great. That's great. I, don't have like the same level of love for Bo-Katan as the two of you do, but it is infectious to see. I do appreciate. I've got my own Black series to show off. Just got this one, and I don't collect the Black series. You got this, Meg. You can find it. Here we go. We got to zoom in on this big bluey. We got Grand Admiral Thrawn himself. Come on, ring light. Let me show him. Let me get him in the frame.
Where
Otherwise he
is
won't-
Grand
There
Admiral
he is.
Thrawn?
Yeah. I got this.
Oh my
I'm
God.
trying. I was in a collectible store the other day down in Arkansas. I was down visiting my brother. We went on a little road trip. I found this thing. It was like, I don't collect the Black Series, but that is just gorgeous. The packaging too, it's got that 50 years of Lucasfilm. It's like, and
yeah.
I've been thinking about making a Thrawn-centric shelf, like all the Thrawn hardbacks, and I would get some posters and all kinds of stuff. Who knows? And I was like, gotta get him on there. Very, very proud of him. How about you, Freddie? You got anything to show off?
Well, let's see.
I know Emma's got something.
Recently 420, so I went out to buy
Oh no.
Pokemon.
Okay.
As you do, yeah.
Dragapult definitely looks
As
like he's
one
having a
does.
good 420. Look at those eyes.
Yeah, check that out.
It's a great card, man. I love Dragapult.
Yeah, I actually found 2 of them. So as Meg did, I bought 2 of them.
There you go.
But unfortunately, no Star Wars things. I feel like that Obi-Wan kind of just stripped me dry for a little bit.
That's excellent. Yeah, not a cheap one. They just, as soon as you announced that you got that, they announced a new Obi-Wan collectible. Did you guys see this? What is it?
Yeah. Oh, it looks
Oh,
so
yeah.
good.
Sideshow. Is it?
I don't. Gentle Giant, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. I gotta say this one
Yeah.
is I'm preferable. I have a preference for
Preferential?
this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks a little bit more like I imagine he looks in the Kenobi book, which is Peak Legends, some good stuff. All right, I've got some other weird little collectibles to show off. I know Emma's got a big one, and she's gonna have the most impressive thing this week. So I got to show off my weird ones first. I've started collecting these Jedi Council members who can sit on my shelves. They look really good, kind of as like iconic pieces to fit, on these small shelves for my Legends paperbacks. And they've got their chairs with them too. I've always loved like the Jedi Council, their chairs. Something about like these old men that sit around in their chairs and debate religious things. It's,
And holograms as well.
And
Still in their
holograms.
chairs.
That's right. So I found Phantom Menace puppet Yoda, where like he's definitely had himself a good 420. Oh, I dropped him. Got this again. Here we go. Trying. Look at Yoda's little weird face. Yeah, there's no way the camera's gonna zoom on that. I'll post pictures in the Discord. Anyway, Yoda in his chair. Found him. Looks great sitting on my shelves. And joining him in his weird genie snake flesh
that's great.
is
Oh, man.
Oppo Rancisis. I paid so much money for this. Oh, dropped him too. Paid so much money for Oppo Rancisis. And all right, just some like physics questions about him. He is just sitting on his tail. It's just tail. So he's got to be smushing his tail. Like there's no tushy. It is just pure tail.
There must not be any nerves in his tail if this is the case.
Check this out. He's even got a hole in the back of his chair for his tail.
It's ergonomic,
I just imagine him
Jared,
on the phone with the furniture store. Yes, I'm gonna need a chair with a big old hole in the back for my tail.
I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to double check on this, but I feel like I have a toy Yoda, where he's sitting on the chair and it's a magic 8-ball, and I'm pretty sure it was from like Taco Bell
Yeah,
sometime
I used
in
to
the
have
90s.
that, man. I used to have that. Yeah. Oh, R.I.P. my magic 8-ball Yoda. He's gone. Now, close us out, Emma. I know you've got a nice new collectible to show off in a Thraken thrift store.
I do. Allow me to hoist it up, I suppose.
Big.
Okay, I got.
Don't hurt yourself, Emma.
Oh my God.
That is so much bigger than I realized.
It's huge.
There's our thumbnail for the
I
week.
put it down.
Yeah, for sure.
That is massive.
It weighs 15 pounds.
Oh.
I double checked that on a bathroom scale. It is quite hefty. I haven't opened it at all yet, and I've had it for a few days. It's my little present for finishing up the semester. So in a couple weeks, I'm gonna crack it open, and I'm gonna spend like 3 days straight looking at it, and I can't wait. It was at a Barnes and Noble up kind of far away from me, but my dad works in that town, so I said, "Hey, Dad, will you pick this up at the store for me?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I send him the information. He said, "Man, I don't know what you spend your money on. I don't get it. And I said, Dad, it's a big book. Trust me, you're going to understand when you see it in person, right? And so he gets there and he texts me. He said, that's a big book.
It's a big book. It's like, yeah, can you bring your truck to pick this up, in fact?
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. It doubles as a book and also a weapon if you need it, I think. Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. Yeah.
That is impressive. I got to admit, I've got hundreds of books in my collections and nothing that big or heavy. So congratulations. Do you have
Thank
a book,
you.
listeners, that is bigger or heavier than Emma's Star Wars archives? Let us know in the chat. And we need to see pics of the bathroom scale, or it doesn't count. No, aren't there 2 or 3 of those in that collection?
Yeah, there's another one. There's a prequels one, and I'm gonna guarantee I'm gonna have it in my collection within 2 months of finishing up this one. I just know it. And it's a pretty red cover. This one's black with like gold stars, and the other one is red with gold stars. So I'm totally gonna get the other one. I keep telling myself I'm not, but you know, it's gonna happen. They're beautiful.
I've never seen those in person. I'm gonna have to see if the library can. But those big ones, I like to get my hands on them first before I shell out any cash. See if they can,
Right.
Deliver it. And I can check it out first. It's gorgeous, and I'm excited for you. Congratulations, and
Thank you so
RIP.
much.
F's in the chat for Emma's wallet. Well, this
That's
week,
right. That's the other thing.
we have got a ton of Legends news, and we're going to try to get through this segment as quickly as possible because, well, there's quite a bit to talk about. First and foremost, I just had my issue of Star Wars Insider 202 came in the mail a couple days ago. We got like a Ralph McQuarrie R2D2 looking like
so cool.
Chopper's great granddaddy up in here, and there is a Thrawn-centric article that I think is one of the most gorgeous, visually, one of the most gorgeous pieces that has ever been published in Star Wars Insider, and I've been collecting these for a long time, well over 10 years. This is an interview with Timothy Zahn, and look how gorgeous this looks.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And in particular, it's well done. It's well written too. This is a first-time Star Wars Insider writer, Brandon Weinerdy. He is the host of Talking Bay 94. So congratulations to Brandon on making your Star Wars Insider debut. I hope to see more good Legend stuff like this because it's excellent. Celebrating 30 years of Heir to the Empire, talking to Timothy Zahn about what it's like to come back and what it was like for him to write Heir to the Empire, and of course celebrating the fact that there is a new Timothy Zahn Thrawn book being written. We got that Portuguese cover, the Brazilian cover in there, which is cool. Very well done, very good piece. And of course, this issue also has an interview with Claudia Gray. When was the last time you read a magazine that had an interview with Timothy Zahn and Claudia Gray in the same magazine? I mean, that's good stuff right there. You're getting your money's worth. And there is exclusive fiction from our buddy Gavin Scott with Wookiee Jedi in here, which is cool. We got Burry. Hot Dog Burry, long ways down the page. Very good issue. Very proud of that. If you are interested in getting your hands on Star Wars Insider 202, we've got the Utini affiliate link for you over on utini.com. Just type in Star Wars Insider. We'll get you hooked up. Freddie, what is next on the Legends news list?
Yeah, this one's very interesting. But so Disney and Alan Dean Foster are very close to settling on the issue of royalties, according to ADF's Twitter.
Yeah, so Alan Dean Foster actually has been involved in this controversy for a while that they weren't paying him. Like when Disney acquired the rights to those original novelizations, in particular his original Star Wars novelization and Splinter of the Mind's Eye, they stopped paying him for sales on those. And he's like, hey, you got to pay up, man. Like, my wife is sick. We need the money. And I'm not asking for handouts. I just want the money for the work that I did. And so good on the mouse to finally make good on our boy Alan Dean Foster. It's good to see the Force kind of correct itself in this regard, isn't it?
Yeah. And it looks like it might have just been like an oversight, right, on Disney's part, which is it happens.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah.
Let's hope so. He, of course, wrote the first Star Wars book ever. And then the best, you could call it the best, maybe. Well, at the time, it was the best because it was the only expanded universe book that was written in 1978, which is Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And he had some help from George. We'll blame George. But then he wrote Approaching Storm as well, classic Clone Wars era book, and then also came back for The Force Awakens. So he's written across the gamut. What an amazing career Alan Dean Foster has had. We wish him and his wife the best. Emma, what is next in the world of Legends news?
Yes, so yesterday, April 21st, which was 23 years ago in 1999, Terry Brooks's The Phantom Menace novelization was released with 4 variant covers.
You ever seen these,
So
Emma?
do you guys have any of... I have. I think I have one of them, but I don't remember which one it is now. I'm pretty sure it's the Padme one.
I've got Anakin.
Now I'm looking at my shelf.
And
I've got a fun saga with these.
Darth Maul?
I just found the 4th, the one that I was missing last week on this same big, road trip collectible tour I was taking. In fact, had to call my wife because I can never remember which covers I've got. And I was like, all right, which ones do I have? All right, just going to be before Attack of the Clones. Go back a little further. No. After Outbound Flight. Yeah, right about there. And it's like coach my wife on how to find this and woke her up from a nap probably. And so I realized I had one of the books on my Canon shelf, the other books on my Legends shelf, and now I didn't even know this, but now I have all 4 covers. It was kind of a surprise to me. Here we go. We got Jake Lloyd's Anakin.
That's the one I got.
All right. Darth Maul.
Ooh.
And I want to hear
This is the one I have. Yeah,
one's
I just
your
looked at my
favorite?
shelf. That's the one.
Which one's your favorite? Padme, or we got Queen Amidala. It's the more proper name of Naboo. And Obi-Wan. Young Obi-Wan. Now, here's the fun part. The backsides.
Mhm.
Qui-Gon. Looking like a glamour shot.
Oh, yeah. Wind
Backs on
flowing
these
through his luscious
are
locks.
amazing. Jar Jar. Can you believe somebody authorized putting Jar Jar's face on the back of this hardback? Make that your thumbnail of the week. We got No Eyes Sidious trying to hide his secret identity, and the best one, maybe better than Jar Jar, Watto.
Yeah.
Like he's ready to take your money. What's better, the backs or the fronts?
I do love the backs.
The backs are pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a
So
little
good.
out there, you know?
I would like to see this trend come back. We got a lot of alternate covers with comics. I'd like to see this happen more with hardbacks, especially if they're
I
like not
agree.
convention exclusives. Those are hard to find. Just regular on the shelf. They did it with Last Shot recently. That was fun.
Yeah.
So would love to hear everybody's favorite on the fronts and the backs. We got Watto, Jar Jar, Sidious, Maul. Let us know, which one of these covers is your favorite. Now, next up, Emma, you, of course, the other day in game night just played Republic Commando. This was just released, last week on the PS4 and Switch. A re-release of the classic GameCube shooter. I'm not sure what consoles it was on. Tell us your impressions on Republic Commando.
Yeah, so I think I played about 2.5 hours of it, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much fun that I was having with it. It aged really well, as far as I can tell. Now I had it on the Xbox, so I don't know if the PS4 and the Switch, if it was just a release or if they like remastered it or something. I'm not really sure. But from my experience, I had a ton of fun with it. I like the squad. I like how it mirrors the Bad Batch squad a little bit. All around, like, really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited because those books are just absolutely some of my favorites, and I am looking forward to hearing, looking forward to actually playing the story in that game, which I've never actually played. Got the collectible edition coming in like 7 or 8 months.
Nice.
It'll be here one of these days. And, I've got plenty of video games to catch up on. Pokemon Snap's about to come out next weekend, Freddie. You gonna be playing some Pokemon Snap?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm so excited for that. Had to go in today and make sure my payment details were correct because I won it on release day. One of my favorite games of all time on the N64. Freddie, what's up next on the Legends video game news?
KOTOR remake. So Bloomberg's Jason Schreier revealed that developer Asper, the studio that ported KOTOR to iOS and re-released Republic Commando and Episode 1 Racer, is working on the 2003 Game of the Year.
Yeah, this is fun because it's been rumored for a while. This is the most solid confirmation we've gotten so far. Still in the tentative rumor sphere, but it comes from somebody who's actually been making these, and they've cranked them out efficiently. They've done a good job with them. And he, on a podcast, don't know the name of the podcast. Sorry, he actually said, yes, there is something to this rumor. It is happening.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
he wasn't saying maybe it's happening. He said it is happening. Otherwise, I want to put it in the show notes. So now you got the heads up. This time around, Freddie, you going to take light side or dark side when you play the remakes?
You know what? I have not done full dark side, so I'm gonna do the dark.
Oh, you've done the Gray Jedi thing, haven't you?
Yeah.
Emma, can we expect this on Utini game nights when it comes out?
Of course, yeah. I'm actually still working through my first playthrough of KOTOR. I've been loving it so far, and
It's long.
It's very long. I had to take quite a break from it, but I might have to do like a dark side playthrough if this is true, because I am doing full light side in my current playthrough. So
yeah, when I play dark side, I just force storm everything. Walk into a room, lightning. Walk into another room, lightning. Just the whole time. Just throw the lightsaber. You get some lightning. You get some lightning. It's very fun, very fun, and you don't even have to worry about like your dialogue choices. You're just like, do the thing or I'll kill you, and they're like, oh, okay. It's like zero brain power required to play dark side.
Right.
It's excellent. Now this one's fun, and I need to double check some of the history on this, but as far as I know, Legends Comics superstar, I'm talking about Legends Comics today, one of the greats in Legends Comics is the artist Jan Duursema. She did some of the most iconic work, especially love her stuff with John Ostrander, love the Quinlan Voss, Ayla Secura stuff in Republic. Love her work in Legacy in particular, but she's back. She's been doing some canon High Republic comics alternate covers. I just had come in the other day this copy of High Republic #3 with the Jan Duursema variant art. We got Keith Trennis with her double-bladed green lightsaber helicoptering like an inquisitor through the air away from these big bugs, and it is excellent. Very happy to have her back. She's absolutely one of the greats, isn't she, Freddie?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's very cool to see her working on some Star Wars comics again. I'm excited to share some of her work tonight on the show. Now, Meg, what is last on the list with Legends news? What else do people need to be on the lookout for? I'll get this question out one of these days.
Last but not least, the Knights of the Old Republic Omnibus is coming out in July, and John Jackson Miller will be auctioning off signed copies leading up to the release.
Yeah, he announced this today on Twitter. It's pretty cool. He's like, hey, we're going to have graded, not just signed, graded and signed. I mean, these are going to be like real collectible pieces. He's going to be doing some auctions on his Twitter if you want to get your hands on one of these. I haven't decided. Am I going to try to get my hat in the ring on this? I'm buying the big, expensive omnibus. I've already got the signature in New Dawn. Do I need this? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. It depends on the price tag, that's for sure. But excited for that. He was just a delight to have on the show, wasn't he?
He was, honestly. He was one of my... I mean, I haven't had too many guests, but...
He's one of my favorite guests.
He is my favorite guest. He's just a really good guy in general, and he just loves talking about his work, and he recognizes that a lot of people appreciate him, right? So I like it.
Oh, no, Eric gives us a new idea here for our Legends news segment. He says we should call it Legends Lookout. I love that.
God.
That is so good.
We are
is
keeping
it
that.
better than, but is it better than Thracken's thrift store?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes, it is.
I will see about that. Like objectively, it's hard to know for sure, but in your opinion. Well, tonight we are going to be talking about the vast world of Legends comics, and boy, is there a lot. From Lannery Brock and Dawn of the Jedi, 25,000 years before the films, to Exar Kun and Tales of the Jedi, 4,000 years before the films, all the way to 100 years after the films with Cade Skywalker and Anya Solo in the Legacy comics. Legends comics had a ton of content and can really be quite intimidating if you don't know where to start. Today, we're going to be breaking down how to get started in the vast world of Legends comics. And joining us is a relative noob to Legends comics, of course, a big Star Wars comics fan, but hadn't necessarily cracked the world of Legends comics until she was like, get me started. Give me some suggestions. Where do I go from here? How do I get my hands on these things? And so she's going to be telling us about her first experience with Dark Empire, which is fun. Can't wait for that. And Emma, I just want to ask you, tell us about like your love for Star Wars comics. How'd you get started, and how did it feel starting with Legends?
Yeah, so I'm actually a relative newbie to Star Wars comics in general. I think I've been reading them for about 2 years now, kind of on and off in the first year or so. I've read every single canon comic from Marvel, and that's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And I fell in love with the way that the stories were told and how you could get nice long arcs with all of the characters and fall in love with them. I think Afro was really a character that kickstarted my love for comics, just seeing how we could take this completely unknown character and develop such a love for her, as much of a love as characters that we see in the movies. So I had to read them all, and I hadn't read any Legends comics until now, and the way that the stories are told is just as great as in canon, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, just like wilder, darker, wackier, depending on what you're reading and from when, and so there's all kinds of different ways to get started, and so I think with canon it's a little bit easier in the fact that like there was this hard cutoff and restart in 2015 when Marvel reacquired the license, and so it's like start with Marvel #1, right? Start with Star Wars #1. It's a pretty easy place, and we got our new Foundational 5. You can read Afra, or you can read Vader. You can read Dark Empire. Hey, there's our Legends rec in the Foundational 5, but in particular, Legends is a little bit messier, and so we're going to give a little bit of help breaking it down. Freddie, let me ask you, what do you think your first Star Wars comic was that you ever read? We've covered a handful on the show. Dark Empire, Tales of the Jedi, Knights of the Republic. We even did the What If ones. What were those called? Those were crazy.
Oh yeah, that's so interesting. Man,
when did you get started? I think for me it was I found a couple issues of Republic in a grocery store as a kid.
This is a tough one because I went back very far with my older cousins who that's all they collected were at the time were comic books, and they had a couple of Star Wars comic books. So we're talking like probably in the 80s. They bought these, and I happened to, read them when I was in, late 90s or so. So it's tough, honestly. I can't even remember what it was. And I was just looking at the pictures. I wasn't even reading them at the time. So I'd have to go back.
Don't worry, everybody. Freddie has since learned how to read.
Yeah, thankfully.
That is great. Sometimes I'll catch my daughter, 6 years old. She's like, look at the pictures. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm reading. Leave me alone. She's like, all right, fine. That's great. Congratulations. Read whatever you want. That's good stuff. The first one I really, really solidly remember was stumbling across Dark Empire, in the teen edgy graphic novel section. I picked up Dark Empire and then Ultimate Spider-Man from Brian Michael Bendis, as like a 10, 12-year-old. And so really loved all those. I think the first Star Wars comic I ever read was like the C-3PO and R2 Lost in Space KB Toys exclusive freebie comic. Actually, I'll pull this up and I'll post it in Discord. I've still got my hands on it.
KB Toys.
You remember KB Toys from the mall,
Yes,
Freddie?
I do.
Emma, you're too young for KB Toys, aren't you?
I have no idea. It's going over my head.
It was a toy store that was in like every mall in America. And it was
kind of like a Toys R Us type of thing.
Yeah, but in the mall, and it was like junkier. And they always had like those little rats attached to balls, like running around.
Yeah.
Right outside the door, or like right inside.
It's like a raccoon tail, and it would just like roll around. And
that's how
sounds terrifying.
As soon as you, I guess it kind of is. All right, we're gonna get one. We're gonna show it off on Legends Look Back. It's for the show. It's for the. It's for the show. So let us know, everybody, in the chat, in the Discord, what was your first Legends comic that you ever read? First Star Wars comic? It's kind of a fun debate. Meg, do you have a first in the world of Star Wars comics? Do you read comics, Meg? I know you're big into the books.
I do. I'm like 6 months behind on current things, if not more. But
that's that way you can do it cheaper. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's true. What was my first? Was the second Darth? I think it was the second Darth Vader run that was my first.
So you're not like deep into the Legends comics yet.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard
So you started in a good place, Meg. That's great.
Yeah, it was a very good place to start.
How many times through have you read Dark Empire though?
None.
Ugh.
0.
You haven't read at all?
No.
It's a matter of principle at this point, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I will be betraying someone out there if I do. So.
Oh,
Fair
we got
enough.
an update from Freddie. Freddie, you got your first Star Wars comic. You think you tracked it down?
this is exactly the one. I just remember a giant snake, a red snake was on the cover, and Luke was shooting at it. And that's all I remembered. So I just looked up Snake Star Wars comic.
It's dangerous, man. I love that Rey negotiates with the snake. Luke shoots it in the face.
Like right in the eyeball.
Right.
We'll have to post this in the Discord. This is good. What issue is that? Does it say number 11?
It's
11.
number 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool from the classic Marvel. I've not read many of the classic Marvel ones. It's one of those things I'm going to do like on an airplane one day. I'm going to read them all. I don't know how many there are. 107? 108?
Roughly.
Something like that. They just recently went back and did one more, one victory lap of those. Their relationship with Legends is messy. We're not going to get into all that. They pick and choose, what characters we're going to bring in and what points of continuity we're going to acknowledge. Shira Bay, Lumaya. She, of course, incorporated Jackson, ever infamously was abandoned in the world of Legends after the Marvel comics. But now, hey, he's back, baby. Is he ever? And we're going to be talking more about Jackson. I think Star Wars Archives is doing an episode on him. Looking forward to that one. You got to be in the Patreon, though, if you want to hear it. Now, we've given Emma a handful of recommendations, though. Just like, hey, you get started in Legends, you got 1 week. Here's like 5 comics to read. Is it 5, 6? Just a handful. Let's start off back in the old school days, back in the early 90s, 91, 92, 3, 4. We're having the restart with Dark Horse getting the Legends comics license, not called Legends at the time. It's just, hey, Marvel did these for a while. They kind of petered out, and Dark Horse has now acquired the license. They started off with Dark Empire and then followed very shortly afterward by Tales of the Jedi by Tom Veitch. Some of them are, of course, written by the infamous Kevin J. Anderson as well. Emma, which issues of Tales of the Jedi did you read? What were your initial impressions? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so I read issues 1 and 2, which was its own sort of mini arc, I guess you could say.
Is that the Nomi Sunrider stuff?
I think so. That sounds familiar. I honestly wasn't super into this one. This was probably my least favorite out of all of the stuff that you sent me. However, I do like some connections to current canon with Onderon appearing. I wonder if this is Onderon's first appearance. It was very cool.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it seems like it might be. I don't know. I found the Jedi stuff like in this time period to be interesting as well. Just thinking about it in relation to, my mind always goes back to like canon, but it's interesting to think about it in relation to the Jedi of the High Republic.
Yeah, it is.
It didn't stand out to me, but yeah.
High Republic has pulled from this substantially, in my opinion. There's a good article in Star Wars Insider about the making of this. I'll have to find what issues and post them in the Discord. They did a 2 or 3 part series on the history of Tales of the Jedi. One of the things they said was like, we had no frame of reference on what we were going to do with this. We had to reinvent the art style. So they made it like a little bit more steampunk, a little bit rougher, a little bit more
I did
ancient.
notice that, yeah.
Yeah, they look more like samurais of old. They look less like the monkish Jedi that we get in the prequels because there were no prequels. And so they've got like this big flashy golden armor, and it's the 90s, so they're all like, their pecs have pecs, like they're just super super buff. And what I love about these, of course, is like the Jedi are kind of rogue warriors. Like, they're not a part of an established system. Each one has their own agenda. They're following the Force. And in some ways, we've seen this reincorporated into the High Republic, haven't we? The Jedi have followed their own inner compass a little bit more. What's the name for that? Like the Jedi that...
Oh, I always get this mixed up between the thing in the Rise of Skywalker. It's either Way Seeker or Wayfinder. Wayseeker, I think. Wayfinder? I don't really know. It always messes me up.
One of them is like a holocron that can make your spaceship go to the right places. The space GPS. And the other one is...
It's
a
like
Jedi
an independent
who doesn't want
sort
to
of
take
Jedi.
any crap from anybody. Yeah, all right.
Right.
Now, Freddie, we talked about Tales of the Jedi back in the day on Legends Lift Back. Was that episode 12? Somewhere around there.
Keldroma and Naomi Sunrider.
Yeah, Naomi Sunrider, she's bald, but she's got like long hair in the back.
Yeah.
Talking a lot about mullets today. What a weird
Mullets.
episode. Legends, the world of mullets and lightsabers. Freddie, how in your opinion did Tales of the Jedi reinvent the Jedi when all that existed was the original trilogy?
Well, I mean, it's very interesting that you bring up the sort of the progression of martial arts and how that turned out, right? So if you think about what martial arts was, it was basically literally martial arts. It was taught to to warriors who had to fight in feudal wars, and it had a purpose behind it, right? And so after that purpose was done, what did it become? It became more of a monk disciplinary thing, which is kind of what we see in Star Wars, right? You've got the more warrior ways of you've got the warrior ways of kind of this era, right? The pre-era when it was they modeled it off of what would you call it? Like samurai, right?
Yeah,
You could say samurai.
Like, thinking about George Lucas's initial influences, the Kurosawa films, that's what they tried to go back and homage.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of they're trying to figure out what was the beginning, what before peace, right? There really wasn't peace, but before peace in the original trilogy. Well, first of all, they're all wiped out. So what happened? What happened in that time frame?
Right.
And it must have been warlike. There must have been a lot of them until they decimated each other. You know, it was all a thing. So it's interesting how they came up with it. Yeah.
I think these are some of my favorite Star Wars stories ever. Now the problem is, you read the story of Nomi Sunrider, which is good, but I think you need to really get into the story of Ulic Qel-Drama's fall and then his redemption. That's where it is really good. The redemption story arc is absolutely one of my favorite Star Wars stories of all time. The idea is like, hey, the only way we're really going to take down the Sith is by joining them. We'll just learn their dark side powers in order to defeat them. It's a very, very common theme in some classic Legends comics. Of course, it's what's happening. It's the plot with Dark Empire too. Luke loses himself to the dark in order to try to defeat it, and it's a whole thing. There's a lightsaber battle. There's a little bit of nudity. But in Tales of the Jedi, the point is that eventually Ulic, spoiler alert here, like eventually he's saved, but it's not like a heroic redemption. It's a sad redemption. His brother dies and he's exiled, and it's so good. I love Tales of the Jedi redemption. Now, I think my new agenda in life is to try to get Emma to love Tales of the Jedi, and I think the only way to do that is with the audio drama. Don't you think, Freddie?
Oh, there's an audio drama.
There is, but it's hard to get your hands on. You're only going to get it on the dark web. It's not available like widely anymore. So
interesting.
We'll see what we can do behind the scenes to hook you up. These are
well, you know what? Since you are being so convincing, I will give it another shot and read some more further into it. Just because of your recommendation, I trust your word.
That's great. It does go. What's it? 25 issues. It's not terribly long. Some of these are quite long. We're going to talk about it tonight. We'll talk about a miniseries or two. But I am excited to talk about the next on our list, also from the early 90s. What else needs to be said about Dark Empire on this show? I don't want to beat this dead horse too much, but Emma, I'm going to let you try to beat this dead horse. Can we please switch to a different analogy? Emma, you finally read it. Tell us your impressions.
I did. I will never forgive Jared for putting it on my list of things to read. You can never come back from that. It's man, so I mean, I literally like 2 seconds ago I just said I trust your word, but this should make me like not trust your word. Honestly, but
sounding like you loved it.
Is it? That's not the vibe I'm going for. No, so I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, and I'll try to like take you through my thought process here. It started off really strong for me. I liked the idea of the rebellion sort of having their hands on some Star Destroyers, and with the gang sort of being back together again. I liked that. The World Devastator thing kind of lost me a little bit.
You didn't like the space vacuum cleaners with legs?
It felt a little weird to me.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, just to see them like sucking up ships like that, very interesting. And then we got to what I will call creepy Palpatine. There's a stretch where he's telling pregnant Leia that he's going to take her child and become her child.
Yeah, that's one does.
Felt very uncomfortable.
I'm gonna be your baby.
Exactly.
No, Freddie, don't do that.
I mean, it was horrible, but it's accurate, right? And then, I mean, we don't need to say anything more about naked Palps. It was assaulting, and I can't believe he stayed naked for like 3 pages.
Yeah, he's like, should I put some pants on before we have this lightsaber battle? No, it'll throw him off guard.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I was taken aback. And the art style, though, was very interesting compared to Current day things is like very watercolory, not a lot of like blues and greens too.
Yeah,
So that was
it's
interesting to
washed out.
see.
Oh man, I love Cam
Yeah.
Kennedy's art, but it is unique. I don't want it in everything.
No,
Um,
me neither.
that's a glowing
A little
review.
bit's good.
It's not like the best review, but it was an accurate review. It was well said.
Yeah, it was okay. I gave it a 3 stars on Goodreads. So, you know,
I'll take it.
mediocre.
Better
Yeah.
than 2 stars. There you go.
That's right. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I know that you liked the next story a little bit better. This is one that I only discovered within the last a couple of years. That is Boba Fett Open Seasons. Freddie is our resident Boba Fett enthusiast. Tell us about Boba Fett Open Seasons.
So, Open Seasons, Jango Fett, I believe, was one of my favorite comics of all time. It basically gets the origin story of who Boba Fett or Jango Fett is, his battle style. Now, the crazy thing is, does a Boba Fett Open Seasons exist? Because
Oh, do I have
I
the
see
name
it-
wrong? Is it called
I think
Jango
so.
Fett Open Seasons?
I was gonna say I don't think Boba Fett Open Seasons. If it is, it's something I don't know about.
Yeah, it's Jango Fett. I've had a long week.
But it's funny because the origin story, and I'm not sure if we're getting into spoiler
go for
territory.
it. Go for it.
But the origin story of Jango Fett is in Legends, right? Is he's a young boy, and he's living on Mandalore, and there's Pre Vizsla with the Death Watch, and then of course you've got just what's his name? Sorry, it starts with a J. Just,
Jango.
Jaster Mariel.
Jaster Mariel. There you go, Jaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jaster is in the fields, and Jango's dad is, and Jango is the size of little Boba, right? In
Yep.
the prequels. So
Right.
he's a young boy, and he eventually grows up to want to murder the Death Watch and take revenge. And it's the story of Jango Fett and his dad's. Man, I can't remember. No, Jaster's head gets cut off.
Right.
Or not cut off, right? I think it's cut off. Anyway,
I think so, yeah.
the whole thing, the whole origin story with Boba Fett in the prequel is almost exactly what you see, in a sense,
It's like
in
poetry. It
Jango's
rhymes.
Fett. It is. So it's beautiful. I love Open Seasons. It's one of my favorites.
For a mini series, only 4 issues long. I'm sorry, I got the name wrong. It's been a couple years since I read it. It is absolutely one of the best Legend stories in terms of how it ties into and has held up continuity wise in terms of how it ties into both Clone Wars, the show, but also still works with like the Republic Commando books. You've got a character, Mariel, one of the Scarata's clones is named after this guy, so that ties in well. It doesn't violate either of those continuities, and yet it's also kind of acknowledged and homaged in The Mandalorian a little bit here and there. And so there's some Easter eggs to this comic. Emma, what was your impression on this? You like this one a lot better than Dark Empire, right?
Oh, I loved it. Yes, this was a really great comic. I was blown away by it, actually. I mean, it might be one of my favorite miniseries that I've read, even out of canon. I really enjoyed how it sort of tied into both Jango's backstory, but also tied into like Count Dooku and Palpatine having like a current day conversation about their search for the Prime clone. And I liked how they called Jango the Prime clone. That was very cool. And I actually wrote down
Not to
a
be
quote
confused with
because
the Amazon
it.
Prime clone. Those are not out for sale yet. Wait for next Prime Day.
I wrote down a quote because it struck me so much. Palpatine said this, and the quote is, "The most dangerous men are always orphans."
Yeah,
Oof.
I saw
And I love that.
was good.
That's it. And like you said before, it's like poetry. It rhymes. Like Anakin, he was an orphan. He's a dangerous man, or Darth Vader was. And I don't know. I liked a lot of the tie-ins, the callbacks. I liked seeing Jango's origin story. We didn't see much of him in the prequels, so we didn't really know a whole lot about him. But now we know a ton about him after reading this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more you know about Jango's story, and he really gets some good Legends comics. I mean, he's got some great Legends comics. There's this 2-part tie-in. Like they're both one-shots, but they're not. There's a comic just called Boba Fett, or just called Jango Fett. How many times can I mess up his name in one episode? There's another comic just called Zam Wesell, but they are companion pieces. They're like Jango and Zam Wesell working together to steal this Indiana Jones-esque idol from this temple, and they end up like saving an assassination attempt on Coruscant. They're like the anti-heroes. Just great stuff. Absolutely love it. The more you come to learn, appreciate about Jango Fett, the more it enhances the entire clone arc, the more it enhances your understanding of Boba as well. You gotta have we need some more good Jango stories, don't we?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd be down for that.
This one's fun as a Legends comic to pick up because, hey, if you're not looking to like read everything in Legends, that's fine. If you just are a Mandalorian fan, this is like the perfect like 4 or 5 issue miniseries for you. Now, next up is something that is much more expansive. In fact, it might be I need to do an issue count here, depending on how we're counting it, because it's Legends. It gets complicated. Republic might be the longest Legends comic ever written. There are a few series that are like, hey, 50 issues long. Legacy being one of them, Knights of the Republic being one. The original Marvel run went for over 100. I mean, but this one is crazy because it's actually 3 series stitched together. So it started back in the late 90s, 98, with Star Wars, the main line. It was kind of started telling origin stories on some of the Jedi Masters we find in the Phantom Menace. Ki-Adi-Mundi and his polygamist culture is explained.
That's the one I read. Oh
is
my
it?
God.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
What was your take on that, Emma? How weird was Ki-Adi-Mundi's story?
Man, that was weird. And my first, or not, it was probably my last thought. It took forever to dawn on me, but Yoda sent him on this mission to his homeworld, and I just realized he had a ton of kids. They're not supposed to have kids.
Yeah, so
how did this happen?
Yeah.
It's explained in Star Wars. So this is where I went wrong in the recommendation.
Okay.
So his story starts a little earlier. You want to explain his polygamy, Freddie? You look like you were chomping at the bit to get into this week's subject.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and I can't remember where I found it, but it's because his race is so rare, and they need to.
We need more cone heads. That's right.
They basically need more cone heads, and
yeah, I wrote it down. It was 1 to 20, male to female. Yeah.
Exactly, 1 to 20. So in order to really populate that planet, which is a service to that planet, Ki-Adi-Mundi had to basically break the rules and do his thing.
He had to lend his talents to the fray. Yeah, that absolutely. It's so good because, like, hey, there's a lot of Legends Jedi who are repopulating the Earth. You know what I'm saying? But Ki-Adi-Mundi, hats off to him. I mean, he's doing his people a service. It's fun. It's crazy. It's his story is not my favorite out of the Republic stuff, I will admit. So it starts with Star Wars and then it transitions. They rename the title. As comics does, they love to reboot and rename. It transitions into Republic, which I know that Trevor has gone on record. I need to read the whole series in its entirety. Trevor says that the later stuff in Republic is actually some of the finest Star Wars ever written. I'm caught up with all the Ayla Secura, Quinlan Voss stories, which are absolutely some of my favorites. I was lobbying hard to get one of those into the Foundational 5 and did not succeed, but I think it's just because like they're not as well versed on Legends as me, and they just need to get caught up.
It's true.
The Quinlan Voss, Ayla Secura stuff in the Republic, it starts in Star Wars, continues on in Republic, is absolutely some of the top-notch Legends stuff. You've got Quinlan Voss kind of struggling with the dark side, and he loses his memory, and he's got to find himself, but then he gets dark in the process. And Dark Disciple really ties into, it kind of homages all of that. And then splashing a little bit of Asajj Ventress, and, well, there you go. That's everything you need to know. Freddie, have you read all of this, all the Republic stuff? There's a lot,
I haven't.
isn't there?
There's a lot, and I'm looking at it, and it's it's got to be on my list of things to do this summer. So I'm gonna try to get through them all, and yeah, I can't wait to see what Trevor's talking about. Honestly, it seems like I need to really dig into it.
They just recently covered one of these arcs on Jedi Journals, one of our favorite podcasts that we especially love here in the Legends world. They went back and reread the Twilight arc, and I thought they did a good job with the coverage on that if you're looking for some more deep dive content. Perhaps the most significant contribution that unfolded across this 3-title story, it went from Star Wars to Republic to Dark Times once we hit Order 66. The last saga of the story there continues the arcs, some of the same characters, into Dark Times, which went, I think, right up until the Legends canon split in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong by a year or two. One of the most significant contributions, Emma, did you know that there is a couple of Tusken Raider Jedis in Legends?
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard a mention of that, but that is like a really cool concept. Like, I got to read about that.
In particular, their names, see if I can get these right. You've got Sharad Het and Asherad Het, one of whom goes on to become a Sith Lord. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it all the seeds of it are here in Legends. In fact, there's a really fun interaction in one of these comics. We'll plug the Utini reading guide for this character in the show notes. This particular character, there's an issue or a panel, there's a page, a little moment between Anakin and this Tusken Raider Jedi, where Anakin like has to wrestle with the fact that Clone Wars Anakin, like, that he hates Tusken Raiders and like has murdered them, and like has this heart to heart where he like wants to murder this Tusken Raider Jedi and has to wrestle with those feelings. And then it's good stuff. Absolutely. I think one of the best Legends characters is this father-son duo of Sharad and Asherad Het. And Freddie, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they name dropped in the Kenobi novel?
They are. I believe when they meet Kenobi, they see him and they're like, "There's been another one like you in our group," or something like that. And they mention him by
Taught them basic or something like that.
Yeah. That's how they knew basic.
Yeah, the idea of a Tusken Raider Jedi is so interesting, because from our perspective, we've seen them as such as like violent people, less so in The Mandalorian, I suppose. So the thought of them wielding the Force as Jedi is super cool.
Yeah. In fact, the story continues on into the Legacy comics, which is fun. One of the fun things about the Dark Horse comics is the way that they are able to create these characters and then pull them back in a later story. The synergy that was going on here, in particular, the story of Asherad Het, the younger son. Spoiler alert for where he goes. All right, get out now, or forever, you have this spoiled. He becomes Darth Krayt, and so Darth Krayt then is the main villain of the Legacy comics. There are 50 issues plus Legacy War. Dark Horse loved to do this, didn't they, Freddie? Get 50 issues and then your War miniseries. What is it good for? And this, of course, follows. There's two different volumes. First volume follows Cade Skywalker, the drug runner, Han Solo-esque smuggler, deadbeat, great grandson of Luke Skywalker. Is that right? Great grandson.
It's like what, 100 years? 100 years after?
I think so. And I actually recommend not reading these until you have read all of the post-Return of the Jedi essential legend stuff. So get through all of New Jedi Order, Legacy. Legacy of the Force, not to be confused with Legacy. They were being published at the same time.
Yeah.
That's not confusing at all.
Standard practices.
So you got to get through NJO, Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi. Then I would recommend reading Legacy, because there's so many of like the descendants on different sides of the war. You've got Emperor Rowan Fell, and then you've got Cade Skywalker, and they're not on the same side. And there's like the princess descendant of Princess Leia. It's so fun the way that the relationships all intersect and intertwine to get all the nuance and all that. You've really got to know those characters. But I've had friends who have said, these are amazing. You're going to love them. They're dark and edgy and broody and expansive. And they know none of that and have loved them. So highly recommend. Now, I believe, Emma, I asked you to read Legacy Volume 2, not Volume 1. Hey, we've all got a lot of edgy, dark, and broody Skywalker Solo men in our life. I wanted to get you introduced to Anya Solo. What'd you feel about Legacy Volume 2?
Well, let me say this. My canon brain sort of was like, okay, so that's like issues like 7 through 12. So I read like the first 13 issues, I think it was, because I was like looking at the smaller volumes. Okay. So I didn't get there yet. However, I will back you up on what your friends have been saying about like not reading all that stuff before and then sort of diving into these comics. I seriously enjoyed it. And I had zero background knowledge. It was so enjoyable. And I honestly found that the writers, and I don't remember who wrote these first issues, did a great job.
And Dursuma, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They did a great job of prefacing the reader in not too obvious of a way, so that I still knew what was going on, even though I haven't really read much Legends books. Oops. But
nothing wrong with that.
I enjoyed it. Cade Skywalker on death sticks, super weird. That was like wild.
You don't want to sell me death sticks. It's like, fine, I'll just take them. Oh yeah, he's great. I gotta reread that. I read them right about the time my daughter was born. It's like 7 years ago. Yeah, I need to get back and check those out. I think they are my favorite Star Wars stories ever, next to Dark Empire. I mean, they are absolutely some of the best, especially the way that it kind of carries forth the stories of some randos here and there. Like, you got this little group of Jedi that he eventually discovers. They're like hiding out on a planet. They're like, yeah, we survived Order 66. They're just hippies, just like a tree Jedi and like some guy with a big nose. And he's like, yeah, I guess we'll help you join the fight. It's good stuff. The Sith, of course, very interesting. Darth Talon was a big fan. George Lucas was a big fan of Darth Talon, the red-skinned, Twi'lek tattooed, scantily clad
she was really cool.
Jedi.
Yeah.
George tried to get her into some stuff later, which is cool. Have you read those, Freddie?
Yeah, I have. It's been a while. Like I said, like you said, it's been 7 years easily. Or
I
so.
love that Freddie and I, just 7 years ago, are reading the same comic at the same time.
So
Legend
cool.
Soulmates.
And you know what? I think it's undersold, the fan theory of AG-37.
Now, he's in Legacy Volume 2, right?
Yes.
So it's shorter. It was canceled prematurely. Tell us about the fan theory here. This is one of my favorite things in all of Legends.
Yeah, it's true. And it's so funny because I remember talking about this with some friends, and I was like, C-3PO is an assassin. So the fan theory is that AG-37 is C-3PO, but reprogrammed into an assassin droid. So
Yeah, so he looks like IG-88, but
yeah.
he's got like Chewie's bandolier across the front.
Oh wow.
And he like always carries this big machine gun, but he's like kind of a pedantic, timid loser, and hangs out with Anya Solo. It's like sometimes he's like, all right, fine, it's, bust the door in, but is mostly just like there to explain things. And are you a believer in the fan theory, Freddie? I am.
I like it. I agree. He's kind of pedantic. He's like, oh, here, like, here we go again, or
One of the
he's
great
got
Legends droids, I think.
He is. Underrated in my opinion. Underrated significantly.
I think it's because that last series kind of flew in under the radar.
Yeah.
It's not as widely beloved as Legacy Volume 1. It was, 20 issues, something like that. Canceled prematurely, but good in its own right. It's definitely more of like a ragtag adventure than Legacy Volume 1. And so I'd say closer to like Knights of the Old Republic kind of vibe. You got like this little band on the run doing their own thing, a little more lighthearted, which is good in its own way. And the last recommendation that we had for Emma is a Clone Wars era recommendation, and this is a personal favorite of mine. I don't know that I hear it recommended a lot, but this is the 4 or 5 issue miniseries called Obsession. Now, Emma, this has got both Dirge and Ventress. It's got like dark and broody Obi-Wan. I mean, it is kind of an alternative.
Oh, he's so dark and broody.
Of Clone Wars. How does this hold up compared to like the Clone Wars animated show?
Man, I was so impressed by this series. I seriously enjoyed it, and I had just recently watched the first sort of volume, I guess you could call it, of the Clone Wars animated series. It was so cool how it tied in, like with Dirge and all of that. And
to the Tartakovsky stuff, yeah.
The Tartakovsky stuff, yeah, and even the regular Clone Wars now, it would totally tie in. I mean, they were talking about the Outer Rim sieges, which is mentioned in episode 3. That was really interesting, and it was really cool too to see Anakin and Padme sort of showing their relationship openly in front of Obi-Wan, and you could tell he totally knows something's up.
Yeah.
And just a lot of interesting relationships in this series, and I think for like 90% of it could still hold up as canon today.
The idea, I think, is that, who is it, Anakin or Obi-Wan that is believed to be dead? Isn't that how it opens?
They're on leave when it opens.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on leave because they've been on the front lines for so long, and Anakin, he's off hanging out with Padme, and I mean the beginning is hot, man. You've got the you don't know who it is, right? He's on a swoop, just avoiding, just going through like a bridge underneath, just slick through it. And there's a bunch of bounty hunters that looks like that are after him, pirates or something. And then you just see they challenge him, and he's like, all right, I guess we're gonna do this. And you just see in the back window there's a bar, and you just see this guy go right through the glass, and then hey, hello there.
Right.
It's him. You have no idea. So it starts off with a bang, and it's such a great series.
Okay, so the person that's believed to be dead is Asajj Ventress. So like the galaxy thinks that
Right,
Ventress is
yes.
dead, but Obi-Wan is like obsessed. That's the obsession. He's obsessed with this notion that Ventress is still alive. The Ventress Obi-Wan relationship is absolutely one of my favorites.
I
Especially
agree.
seeing the way it ties in, in canon to Dark Disciple, the way that like they finally end up working together a little bit, and man, it is so violent, and yet like they clearly love each other. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, Obi-Wan definitely has a soft spot in his heart for Ventress. I think he said as much in the comic that he can tell that she's been coerced in a way to act like this dark sort of tool of the Sith. And you can tell he's very compassionate toward her.
Yeah, it predates all of the Filoni Clone Wars stuff, so you don't see like this cartoony clone Ventress. You don't see Ventress going on this
Right.
journey with the Night Sisters and everything that happens with her and Mother Talzin. You don't get that whole arc. So this is just like her Legends arc, which is quite different and enjoyable in its own right. Another great thing about this series, last little plug we have for it here, is in Revenge of the Sith, we find Obi-Wan yelling, "You are my brother, Anakin!" In the original trilogy, we also find Obi-Wan relaying the story of his relationship with his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, and it's different, honestly, than what we end up finding to be played out in Clone Wars and in the prequels. We're a fan of a good Legends bromance around here on Legends Look Back, aren't we, Freddie? How good is Obi-Wan Anakin's bromance here? It's not quite, I mean, it's so different than where we get anywhere else, isn't it?
It really is. I've been trying to figure out why it feels so different, and I'm wondering if it's because it's towards the tail end of their relationship.
Yeah, I
I
think
can't
so.
really. I think that's what it might be. It's more of resentment and jealousy, maybe, or just not. There's the trust isn't there anymore. You can tell in Anakin, he's just tired. He's tired of it all.
He's a war-hardened, battle-scarred hero in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an action superstar. Yeah, so Emma liked it. So rank these, Emma, out of your favorite to your least favorite. Tales of the Jedi, Dark Empire, Republic, number one. All right, just the weird Kiadi-Mundi one. That's my bad. And Legacy and Obsession. Favorite to least favorite.
Yeah, so my favorite's got to be Jango Fett Open Seasons, followed by Obsession, followed by Legacy, followed by
The other three.
Dark Empire, I guess, and then Republic, and then Tales of the Jedi.
That's not bad.
All right. Yeah. All right. We gotta bump Tales of the Jedi up at least one. That's my goal.
I will
For the
give it
next
another
time-
shot for sure.
Next time you're on the show. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We are going to close out the show with a fun game. All right. We love us a
Ooh.
good game here on Legends Look Back. It's been a while, I think, since we've done a game. We have, of course, some collectors in the room tonight. Emma, I know that you're a big collector of like the Black Series, and you got some Legos and Funko Pops.
Oh, yeah.
Do you own any collectible comics?
Man, I don't. This is like
You read
probably
digitally?
one of the only. I do only digital. This is probably one of the only Star Wars things that I don't collect. I do, hardcover books and stuff, but I've never gotten into physical comics. There's just too many of them.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about a handful of the most lucrative, some of the rarest, most expensive Legends comics that were ever printed that you could possibly put on your shelves or in your long boxes. So, Freddie, Meg, Emma, I want you three to participate. I've got the prices here in front of me. I'm the Bob Barker on this week's episode in this game. We're going to go down the list. We've got, 7, 8 different titles here, and I'd like to get your guesses. Price is Right rules, so whoever's the closest wins. If you overshoot, you're out. But then if you going from a low to high, if you bid a penny more than the person below you, you get that next closest score. All right, closest one wins, but you don't want to overshoot. Number one, first on the list, is Clone Wars #1 from Dark Horse. This has the Dave Filoni cover. Filoni drew this cover. He's an artist in his own right. He's done the famous whiteboards, he sketches the Maul or the Vader Ahsoka duel on the whiteboard, and people are like, wow, his art is just amazing. His sketches are fantastic. He's done a couple of comics covers. They just recently homaged this cover, in fact, with an exclusive variant of High Republic #1 that I couldn't get my hands on and now sells for hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Oh.
How much, though, was this 2008 Clone Wars #1? How much does this go for? What is the most, do you think, Freddie, let's start with you. What do you think is the most this has ever sold for? This is best research I've done. All right, I could be wrong on any of these numbers. According to the research that I did in like the hour that I had today, how much do you think this issue is worth?
Well, it's been a while, but I do know that this one is a really hot commodity. Probably one of the hottest commodities, honestly, when it comes to Star Wars comic books. And I feel like the last time I looked at this, I was like, hey, just got my bonus. I'm going to go buy myself Clone Wars #1 with Dave Filoni. Looked at it. No, I'm not going to do that.
Buy a statue instead. Yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason, I feel like the range is like 1,500 or so. Just had a guess.
Okay, so is that your guess, 1,500?
Sure.
Okay, Emma, you going to go lower, higher? What's your guess?
Ooh, I can't fathom spending that much on one comic book. So I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to go 1,200.
Okay, and Meg, what's your guess?
Oh, it's so much. 1,300?
1,300.
Those are some high prices, man.
Now, Mike in the chat says he thinks it went for 20,000 or something like that, something ridiculous.
Oh my!
Now I could be wrong. Like I said, I did some research. I didn't do the most thorough research. I'm a podcast host, not an auction house dealer. Freddie, you nailed it though. That is the price exactly that I found online. That this goes, graded and perfect condition. 9.8 goes for $1,500. So
wow.
Freddie takes round 1. Round 2 is the first appearance of Revan in KOTOR #9. Now, just recently, I think this past week, while Revan was trending for less than scrupulous reasons on Twitter, we won't get into all that tonight. John Jackson Miller jumped in on the discussion, as he likes to do, and said, hey, let's talk about the first appearance of Revan in comics. So if you want some information on that, he does a whole deep dive on his Twitter. It was amazing. I loved it. Is this the first appearance? No. Is this the first full appearance? I think so. Regardless, this is the issue that has become quite rare and lucrative. Freddie, how much is the first appearance of Revan in KOTOR #9?
Yeah, this one I'm not 100% sure on. I'm going to say $300. I have no idea, honestly, on this one.
You are much closer to wrong on this than you were the first round, which you got perfectly right. Emma, what's your guess?
All right, so people really love Revan. So I have a feeling that this is pretty popular as well. Probably not as popular as the last one, so I'm going to go with $800.
And Meg?
I don't know.
Spinning the wheel.
500.
This one's got to be a lot.
The number that I found is $2,200.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, people really do love Revan. Really
insane.
do love Revan. It's a gorgeous cover too. I love this
is.
cover with Lucien Dray. It's a good issue too. It's his backstory. It's like the first real departure from the rest of the series. It just doesn't even deal with Zane. It's just all Lucien. It's excellent. Very good issue. Next up is about another Sith Lord that everybody loves. A lot of these are like first appearance of a good old Sith Lord, and that is Jedi versus Sith #1. So it's actually not this exact cover, but it's the same issue. There is in fact the Dynamic Forces exclusive variant. That's the first appearance of Xana and the first appearance of Bane. It is, I will say, less than either of the last two we just talked about. Maybe, depending on how we're doing the math. Let's start backwards this time. Meg, what's your guess?
Oh, don't do that to me. 200? I don't know.
Okay, Emma.
All right, this is a gorgeous cover.
This is not the cover. It's actually a different cover.
Oh, it's a different cover. Different cover.
Yeah, you have to Google it.
Okay.
The Dynamic
I'm sure it's gorgeous
Forces
as well.
Exclusive. It was like one of those. They just only did like a little over 1,000 of these. Like they were very rare, hard to come by.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to go 500.
Okay, and Freddie.
$250.
So a common selling point for the Dynamic Forces exclusive is $825, but it has sold for as high as $1,500.
Wow.
Can't get over these prices.
Yeah, amazing. I paid on one of these High Republic ones. I don't know. I might have paid $75, and I don't remember for sure. It's hard to remember, but like, yeah, I mean, the comics collecting, the Star Wars comics collecting, especially, is hot right now. It's hot right now. All right, we've done a few. These have been fun. I'm really wanting to buy some of these. These are I don't have the money for it. Beautiful, incredible comics. And hey, if you just want to read them, They're on Comixology Unlimited. A lot of these, they're on Marvel Unlimited. They're easy to get your hands on digitally if you don't want to try to get the collectible version. And they're all worthwhile for your time in their own right. Now, a little bit of a more obscure pull is Star Wars Tales number 4. This is the first appearance of Darth Nihilus, who you might recognize from KOTOR 2. You know, the one who doesn't say anything and just kind of growls and eats death for breakfast. Darth Nihilus' first appearance. Emma, you're up first on this one.
Okay, so KOTOR is extremely popular with people. So I'm going to go with $800.
Okay, 800 on this. You overshot. Meg, what's your guess?
Okay.
700.
And Freddie.
$450.
Freddie's the closest. It is $575 is the price that I found. So, like, it's a real bargain compared to the others we've talked about.
Right?
$575.
Such a bargain.
Spend your stimmy on this bad boy. All right. And here's the kicker. Not even the whole issue is about Darth Nihilus. Darth Nihilus just gets a few pages. It's like a black and white story. It's very different. It's kind of a different tone. Kind of
interesting.
Broody, and it'll suck your soul out, just like Nihilus. Man, give me nightmares. I used to really was scared of Nihilus as like a 15-year-old playing KOTOR 2. I had to play the Nihilus boss fight with the lights on during the day. Windows open. Like, I could not handle him. All right, 3 more. This one is the first appearance from the old school Marvel. We got, look at that. He was actually on that puzzle that I just did recently. This cover with Bosk and Dengar and Boba was on my my Marvel Comics puzzle. I was like, all right, I got Bosk's head. Rebecca, you got Bosk's feet. Yeah, we stick those together. This is the first appearance of Boba in comics Marvel Star Wars number 42 from 1980. We got 2 different prices on this, just like a random, single issue, pretty good condition that you could get off eBay, or like a nice, like perfect condition graded. So 2 different numbers. So you got more potential on getting this one right. You're up first on this one, Freddie.
Okay, so Boba Fett, everything Boba Fett exclusive, or at least the first appearances, right? The first toy, the first whatever it is, tends to be really hot. And I'd have to assume that this one would probably go, let's just say maybe around $2,000.
Wow, pretty close, Freddie. Anybody else want to take a stab at this? All right, I'll give you this. The graded perfect condition on this, I've got 2,600 on.
Holy smokes!
A sold auction for 2,600. Let's talk about just like a run of the mill. Somebody had this in their collection, not perfect condition, but like if you wanted to try to get your hands on it, not graded. Let's cut that price drastically in the hundreds of dollars range. Meg, what do you think it is?
$350.
Exactly. Yeah, $350.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, we got better at this game. I just heard Meg get a boost of confidence. That was fun. All right. Everybody's favorite Jedi is up next. Jedi Mace Windu from Dark Horse. This is important not because it is a Mace Windu comic, but because it is the first appearance of Asajj Ventress in comics. Yeah, you wouldn't know that by looking at his piercing stare there, would you? It was like, somebody get this Sith Lord off of my plane. But how much do you think this comic costs? You're up first, Emma.
Okay, well, as I'm looking at this cover, all I can think of is that he's about to call me a citizen. Asajj Ventress, let's see. I'm gonna go 600.
Way too low. Wow. I don't know. If you're trying to get it not graded or whatever, I've got a pretty high price on this one. I'll say that it is in the range of some of these other nice collectible graded first appearance comics of that we've talked about. So thinking in that range. Meg, you're up next.
1,100.
Okay, still too low. You want to try to sweep Freddie?
I was gonna say $1,350.
$2,500.
Oh.
Is the
Holy
price that I have.
smokes!
There are too many snakes on this plane.
Yes, there are, citizen. And the last A Sith Lord. All right, the last issue we're going to talk about is the holy grail of Star Wars comics, not just of Legends comics, but of the Star Wars comics collection market. This is the most expensive comic that you could try to acquire, and that is none other than the infamous Marvel Star Wars #1 from 1977. Meg, you've got #2 pulled up. No! That's #2.
You know what? You gave me the list. This is not my fault.
It's #1. It's not the right cover. All right. Well, you should know what it looks like. It's got like it's not that, but it's the other one. You know.
Yeah, it's a classic. You know.
I love it. Gonna go out with a bang with the wrong cover. So good. This one is a lot easier to get. Actually, I did some reading today. Issues 2 and 3 are a lot easier to get than 4.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. All right. The 35-cent variant of Marvel Star Wars #1, which is not this, but it's different, is worth how much money? I will say much more than anything else we've discussed tonight, but less than what Mike says in the chat for the Superman comic that went for $3.25 million. So
Whoa.
less than that by a lot, but more than the most expensive comic we've talked about by a lot. Freddie, you're up first.
Man, this is a hard one because I saw one, but it was definitely not graded
for this price. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I want to say it was like roughly like eight grand or so.
Okay.
The last one I saw.
And Emma?
Oh, $9,000.
And Meg? What if this was an actual auction and whatever you guessed is what you had to pay?
Oh, no.
Oh my God, I'm dead broke.
10 grand.
So I'm talking about the high end price, the most that I was able to find anybody has ever paid for it. So like, yes, Freddie, I did see that like someone has gotten it for 8, but the most anyone has ever paid for it, as far as I know, for the 35-cent variant, there's actually 2 different variants of it. Mm-hmm. The 35-cent variant, the OG, is $25,000.
Oh my God!
For a Star Wars comic. I told that to my wife today. She rolled her eyes in the biggest way I've ever seen. She said, "That's ridiculous," and walked off. I was like, "I'm not spending it. Don't be mad at me. I'm not gonna."
Why would you even think about that, Jared?
It really makes my $75 High Republic #1 look cheap, doesn't it?
Oh yeah! Wow.
So
that's incredible.
That makes sense, though.
Whew, this has been a lot of fun. Everybody, let us know what's your most expensive, or your rarest Star Wars comic. Which one of these would you most like to get your hands on? Did you guess any of these right? Did you play along with us at home? We'd love to know. Now, coming up next, our next roundtable. What's coming up next on Legends Look Back is we just can't get enough Thrawn. All right, there's a new Thrawn book coming out, but you know what? We're going to go blast from the past in Legends Thrawn history with Outbound Flight by Timothy Zahn. We're going to have our buddy Cheryl Bell, our incredible patron, joining us once again on the show to talk about one of her favorite characters in the Star Wars galaxy. And then our next episode, not our next roundtable, but Freddie, tell the good folks what they can hear us talking about next Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/Utini.
There you go. All right, I'm not sure if I should do this in the pan Atlantic voice, but if you can beat 'em, blow 'em up to smithereens. We're talking about the best and the worst of Legends super weapons. Wear a helmet, it's gonna be messy.
I forgot that I typed that. Yeah. If you can't beat 'em, blow 'em to smithereens. Smithereens or smithereens?
Smithereens.
I don't think I spelled it right, but I said
smithereens.
Smelled it right. Yeah, episode's over. Emma, thanks for joining us. You made a great Legends Look Back debut. I thought I'll give you I'll grade your performance an A-, just to leave room for improvement for next time.
I'll take it. Thank you guys for having me. This was a blast.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a wild ride for sure. A special thank you, of course, to our incredible patrons who have helped us out and have supported us along the way. Of course, we want to thank our friends Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Sally and Chris Eilerson, and your boy Freddie C on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. That does it for this week. Thanks for listening to Legends Look Back. If you would like your thoughts read on the show, you can email us at legendslookback@utini.com. You can send us a message in the Legends Look Back Discord channel or leave a comment on this episode on YouTube, or you can find us on Twitter at Legends Look Back. I'm at Jared Q. Mays. Freddie?
At Wake Up Freddy.
Meg,
At Meg Dowell.
and Emma.
At Irma Jedi 26.
Excellent. Great. If you're looking to buy some of these books and want to help support the show, look up a book on Utini, click the Amazon link in the profile, and you can, of course, give us a few cents to help us keep the lights on, especially if you get that $25,000 Star Wars #1. We get a good whopping 4% on that sale, which, hey, I could afford a new car with that 4%, probably, on my redneck budget. If you have read any of these and want to let us know what you think, you can go on over to Eugenie.com, click the book profile, and you can leave us a review. Let us know what you think. Let us know, did you like Tales of the Jedi more than Emma? Because I hope so. Remember, of course, to keep the Utini fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. It's been a blast. May the force be with you.
This is a Utini broadcast.